Hey everybody, Bart Johnson, founder and creative director of Able Ape Studios, back again with another book review. And if you've been watching my recent book reviews, you kind of know what's up. If you haven't, if you're new to my channel and maybe even my book reviews of 2019, I've been reviewing books written by Steven Pressfield. So far, I've read and reviewed Steven Pressfield's The War of Art, Turning Pro, Do the Work, and today's book review that I'm going to be reviewing today is called Nobody Wants to Read Your Shit. And it's and other tough love truths to make you a better writer. I kind of set off on this kind of book review journey in the sense just because I'm in the creative industry. I do writing, graphic design, photography, and in all of those cases, each of those takes some kind of ability to go against the grain, go against what Steven Pressfield calls resistance. It starts off in the war of art, in a sense, the war against resistance. And in this book, Steven Pressfield kind of takes a little different path than the previous books, which makes me believe that they weren't necessarily written as a series, to be put as a series like I'm doing right now. So just be mindful of that. I also think this is a very easy book to be to gain the information from, to read, to gain the information, understand the concepts. Can you pick this book up and understand it and read it as it pertains to the series, as I'm talking about? I think so, yes, because he starts the book out with a brief example of what resistance is and how that kind of rears its head in the whole process. But I think this book goes a little deeper than the previous books to talk about the specific thing of writing. In the previous books, it was more about just whatever, if it was a creative endeavor you were after, you're an entrepreneur, or it was a project or whatever, those things can be really applied to that. I think this book is more or less geared to people who are aspiring writers, want to write screenplays, novels, fiction, non-fiction, those kind of things. So with that said, a lot of the information in this book is about writing, and it even gives a little more look into the life and the career of Steven Pressfield himself. He started out in advertising. I think it was copywriting that he was really basically doing, but advertising, and he kind of took him through to writing screenplays, and then to eventually doing his own novel, and then actually even took a little stint in writing for the adult film industry. This book is filled with a little bit more parts than the previous books. It still is easy to read, but the information is a lot more dense than the previous book. That's what I would say. I think also the concepts are, again, very refreshing and very interesting to understand. I think one of the things that he builds up in this book is that as much as you may be writing fiction or non-fiction, screenplay, a piece of advertising copy, it all has this sense that can be built in the framework of the three-part structure, Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And I like the way he develops that and shares that with us in this book, and how you can use that all across all those types of writing. I also find that a lot of his personal story shows up in this book by examples that can help you as a writer instantly become better, because you saw how he failed with it in his story and how he changed that to make it better. Ultimately, this book, as the title says, nobody wants to read your shit, but the reason he says that no one wants to read your shit is because it's boring. Obviously, that could be hard to take for a writer, but I think at the same time, the solution that he gives to that is just to become a better writer. To start, you may have to be the one doing the edits and rewriting and doing the rewrites, which he definitely stresses to do many rewrites. Like by the time you get to a final draft, you have something that has been tried and tested and refined to the best possible product that you can get. It's not that big of a book or thick of a book to read, but I think the information is exponential. There's a lot of good information in here, and like I said, it's more or less based off of his experience and what he's been through, which is definitely good for anyone that's aspiring to be a writer, screenwriting or whatever. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I think for me, the books go in order of War of Art, Do the Work, and this book. And I say that more or less because it's and the concepts that he uses are so new to me, and that I thought they were really like groundbreaking for me. I mean, obviously in the War of Art, the idea of resistance, that's something I never really understood. I think in Do the Work, it was more or less being able to see the framework that he used for a project, and some of the things or those potholes or hang-ups that you may encounter on working on a project. And then for this book, it was more or less just the great set of concepts and frameworks and structures that he shares that you can use across all types of writing. And I just didn't really, before this, I wasn't necessarily privy to that. I always thought, you write nonfiction a certain way, you write fiction a certain way, you write a screenplay a certain way. But he kind of shows you how you can use this little framework that you can carry it all the way through. And I think that was great. The idea of concept versus theme, the 3-act structure, how to be able to twist or flip an old idea and make it new or appear new. All those things was great, and this is what I found in this book. And so, like I said, I would definitely recommend this for anyone who is aspiring writer. Definitely for that. It may not stretch across someone's maybe an artist or an entrepreneur, but the idea of writing in this book is definitely valuable. So that's been my review of Steven Pressfield's No One Wants to Read Your Shit. And if you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you read this book or now you're enticed to read this book, definitely leave me a comment in the comment box below. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to be able to share with you some of the other thoughts that I have on this book. And I didn't want to give away too much. This is a little more denser than the other ones, but I just want to give you a little bit of a taste to kind of understand what this book is about. And so, yeah, like we always do at this time, have a blessed day. See you on the flip side. Let's go.